Maya Chen had exactly $47 in her bank account when her phone rang at 2 in the morning. She was used to late-night calls. Debt collectors had no sense of appropriate hours, but the name flashing on her screen made her sit up straight in bed. Sophia, her twin sister, the sister she hadn't heard from in 6 months. "Maya, I need you." Sophia's voice was breathless, urgent. "I know I have no right to ask, but please, I'm outside your building." 10 minutes later, Maya opened her apartment door to find her mirror image standing in the hallway. Except where Maya wore faded pajamas and had paint under her fingernails, Sophia wore a designer dress that probably cost more than Maya's entire year's rent and had a manicure that screamed wealth and privilege. They were identical twins, but their lives couldn't have been more different. "Come in," Maya said, stepping aside. Sophia walked into the tiny studio apartment, and Maya saw her sister's eyes sweep over the space: the Murphy bed, the canvases stacked against every wall, the kitchenette that was barely big enough for one person. Sophia didn't say anything, but Maya could read the pity in her expression. "What do you want, Sophia?" Maya asked, crossing her arms. They hadn't parted on good terms the last time they'd seen each other, their parents' funeral, where Sophia had inherited everything and Maya had gotten nothing but debt. Sophia turned to face her, and for the first time, Maya saw something she'd never seen in her twin's eyes before: fear. "I need you to switch places with me, just for 1 week." Maya laughed. It came out harsh and bitter. "You're joking." "I've never been more serious about anything in my life." Sophia grabbed Maya's hands. "Please, just listen to me." And so Maya listened as Sophia explained the impossible situation she was in. She was engaged to Marcus Kane, one of the most powerful CEOs in the country. The marriage was arranged, a business merger disguised as romance. Sophia's family needed Kane's financial backing, and Kane needed the Chen family's political connections. "It's happening in 3 months, Sophia said. "The wedding, and I can't do it, Maya. I can't marry a man I don't love." "Then don't," Maya said simply. "Call it off." "You don't understand. The contracts are signed. If I back out, my family loses everything. Kane will destroy us." Maya pulled her hands away. "What does this have to do with me?" Sophia took a deep breath. "I'm in love with someone else. His name is James. He's a photographer, he's kind, he's everything Marcus Kane isn't, and he's asked me to run away with him." "Then run." "I need time, 1 week to disappear, to figure out how to handle this without destroying my family, and I need someone to take my place so no one notices I'm gone." Maya stared at her sister in disbelief. "You want me to pretend to be you, to live in your mansion and what? Have dinner with your fiancé? This is insane." "I know it is, but you're the only person who can do this. We're identical, Maya. No one would know." "Sophia, I'm a struggling artist who works 3 jobs. I don't know anything about your world. I'd be exposed in 5 minutes." Sophia reached into her purse and pulled out an envelope. She handed it to Maya. Inside was a check for $50,000. Maya's hands trembled as she looked at it. $50,000. Enough to pay off her debts, enough to save her art studio that was 3 months behind on rent, enough to actually breathe for the first time in years. 1 week, Sophia said quietly. "That's all I'm asking. Marcus is barely ever home anyway. He's always at his office. You'll mostly be alone in the house. The staff will take care of everything. All you have to do is show up to a few dinners, smile, and pretend to be me." "What if he notices? What if someone figures it out?" "They won't. We're identical, Maya. And honestly, Marcus barely looks at me. We've been engaged for 6 months, and I don't think he's ever really seen me. To him, I'm just a business arrangement. He won't notice if you're quiet or a little different. He doesn't care enough to notice." Maya looked at the check again. She thought about the eviction notice on her door, the maxed-out credit cards, the dream of being a real artist that seemed to slip further away every day. 1 week, she said finally. 7 days, and then you come back and deal with your own life. Sophia's face broke into a smile, and she hugged Maya tightly. Thank you. Thank you so much. I promise this will work. I'll leave tonight with James. On day 7, I'll come back and take my place again. Marcus will never know. The next few hours were a whirlwind. Sophia talked rapidly, filling Maya in on everything she needed to know. The layout of the Kane estate, the names of the staff, Marcus's schedule, the key things about their relationship, or lack thereof. We've been engaged for 6 months, but we barely know each other, Sophia explained. Our parents arranged it. We've had maybe 10 actual conversations. He's cold, distant, completely focused on his work. We don't sleep in the same room. We barely eat meals together. Honestly, you might go days without even seeing him. Then why does he even want to get married? Maya asked. Sophia shrugged. Power, control. The Chen family name opens doors for him politically, and he gets to check off the married box that apparently matters to his board of directors. Sounds like a real romantic, Maya said dryly. He's not, she agreed. He's a machine. All business, no heart. You'll be fine, Maya. Just be quiet, be polite, and stay out of his way. As dawn broke over the city, Sophia handed Maya a bag full of expensive clothes, jewelry, and her identification. The driver will pick you up at 9. His name is Thomas. He's been with the family for years. Just tell him you're tired and don't want to talk. He's used to my moods. Maya fingered the designer dress she was supposed to wear. It was beautiful, silk, and probably worth more than her car, her very broken down, barely functioning car. Sophia, she said quietly, what if I mess this up? What if I ruin everything? Her sister smiled and touched Maya's face gently. You won't. You're smarter than me, stronger than me. If anyone can pull this off, it's you. And then Sophia was gone, slipping out of the apartment with a small suitcase and a promise to call in exactly 7 days. Maya stood alone in her apartment, holding a check for $50,000 and a bag full of someone else's life. She thought about saying no, thought about calling Sophia back and telling her this was too crazy, too dangerous, too impossible. But then she looked around her tiny apartment, at the canvases she couldn't afford to finish, at the overdue bills stacked on her counter, at the life she was barely surviving in. 1 week, 7 days of pretending to be someone else. What was the worst that could come? At exactly 9 o'clock, Maya walked out of her apartment building wearing Sophia's clothes and Sophia's perfume, carrying Sophia's designer bag. A sleek black car was waiting at the curb, and a man in a driver's uniform opened the back door for her. "Good morning, Miss Chen," he said with a respectful nod. Maya slid into the back seat and tried not to look as terrified as she felt. The leather seats were butter soft. The car smelled expensive. Everything about this world was different from hers. As Thomas pulled into traffic, heading towards the Kane estate in the countryside, Maya caught sight of her reflection in the tinted window. She looked exactly like Sophia. Same face, same hair, same eyes. On the outside, they were identical. But inside, Maya was still herself, still the struggling artist who mixed her own paints because she couldn't afford to buy them. Still the girl who ate ramen for dinner and worked 3 jobs to barely make rent. Could she really pull this off? Could she convince a billionaire CEO that she was his sophisticated, wealthy fiancé? The drive took 45 minutes, and with each passing mile, the buildings grew further apart and the houses grew larger. By the time they turned onto a private road lined with ancient oak trees, Maya's heart was pounding. And then she saw it, the Kane estate. It wasn't a house, it was a mansion. sprawling and elegant, with tall windows that gleamed in the morning sun and gardens that looked like something from a magazine. There was a fountain in the circular driveway, and as Thomas pulled up to the front entrance, Maya realized she'd never seen anything so beautiful in her life. "Welcome home, Miss Chen," Thomas said, opening her door. Home. This wasn't her home. This was a fantasy, a borrowed life that she'd have to give back in 7 days. A woman in a crisp uniform appeared at the entrance. "Miss Chen, welcome back. I trust your trip to the city was pleasant?" Maya managed to smile. "Yes, thank you. Mr. Kane is in his study. He asked to see you when you arrived." Maya's stomach dropped. So much for Sophia's promise that she'd barely see Marcus Kane. She was going to meet him within minutes of arriving. "Of course," Maya said, trying to keep her voice steady. "Just let me freshen up first." "Certainly. I'll let him know you'll be down shortly." A staff member showed Maya to her room, Sophia's room, and she closed the door behind her with shaking hands. The bedroom was enormous, decorated in soft whites and grays, with a 4-poster bed and windows that overlooked the gardens. Maya caught sight of herself in the full-length mirror and barely recognized her reflection. In Sophia's clothes, with Sophia's life wrapped around her, she looked like she belonged here. But she didn't, and in exactly 7 days, this would all be over. She took a deep breath, checked her appearance one more time, and headed downstairs to meet the man she was supposed to convince she was engaged to. Marcus Kane's study was at the end of a long hallway. The door was open, and Maya could see him before he saw her. He sat behind a massive desk, his attention focused on his computer screen. Even from a distance, she could see he was handsome. Dark hair, strong features, the kind of face that belonged on magazine covers. But there was something cold about him too, something distant in the set of his shoulders, in the way he frowned at whatever he was reading. Maya knocked softly on the doorframe. Marcus looked up, and for just a moment his eyes met hers. They were gray, she noticed, storm cloud gray. "Sophia," he said, his voice neutral. "You're back?" "Yes, I'm back." He studied her for a moment, and Maya felt her heart race. Could he tell? Could he see that she wasn't really his fiancée? But then he just nodded and returned his attention to his computer. "We have dinner with the Harringtons tonight at 7, business associates. Wear something appropriate." That was it. No "how was your trip?" or "I missed you," just instructions for dinner. "Of course," Maya said. "You can go," Marcus added, not looking up from his screen. Dismissed, like she was an employee, not his future wife. Maya turned and walked back to her room, her mind reeling. Sophia had been right. Marcus Kane was cold, distant, completely uninterested in his fiancée. This might actually work. As she closed the door to Sophia's bedroom behind her, Maya caught her reflection in the mirror again. 7 days, she reminded herself, just 7 days of pretending to be someone else. What could possibly go wrong? Maya had exactly 4 hours to prepare for dinner with the Harringtons, and she had no idea who the Harringtons were. She stood in Sophia's walk-in closet, which was bigger than her entire apartment, staring at rows of designer dresses and feeling completely out of her depth. Marcus had said to wear something appropriate, but what did appropriate mean in a world where a single handbag probably cost more than her car? A soft knock on the bedroom door made her jump. "Ms. Chen?" It was the woman from earlier, the one in the uniform. "I'm Margaret, the house manager. Mr. Kane mentioned you might need assistance preparing for this evening." Maya opened the door, trying to look composed. "Yes, thank you. I was just deciding what to wear." Margaret's eyes were kind but assessing. She was older, perhaps in her 60s, with silver hair pulled back in a neat bun. "May I suggest the navy Valentino? It's elegant but not overstated. perfect for a business dinner." "That sounds perfect," Maya said, grateful for the help. Margaret moved through the closet with practiced efficiency, pulling out a stunning navy dress and matching shoes. As she laid them out on the bed, she said casually, "Will you be wanting your hair up or down, Miss Chen?" Maya froze. How did Sophia usually wear her hair? She had no idea. "Down," she said, hoping it was the right answer. "I think I'll wear it down tonight." If Margaret noticed anything odd, she didn't show it. "Very good. Dinner is at 7 at the Harrington estate. The drive is approximately 30 minutes. Mr. Kane will meet you in the foyer at 6:15. After Margaret left, Maya sat on the edge of the enormous bed and tried to calm her racing heart. She'd been in this house for less than 6 hours, and already she was exhausted from the constant vigilance, the fear of making a mistake that would expose her. She thought about calling Sophia, demanding more information, more preparation, but Sophia had made it clear, once she left with James, she was unreachable. She'd destroyed her phone, disappeared completely. Maya was on her own. At 6 o'clock, Maya put on the navy dress. It fit perfectly. Of course it did. She and Sophia were identical. But when she looked in the mirror, she barely recognized herself. The dress was sophisticated, expensive, the kind of thing she'd never imagined wearing. With Sophia's jewelry and Sophia's shoes, she looked like she belonged in this world. But looking the part and being the part were two very different things. At exactly 6:15, Maya walked down the grand staircase to find Marcus waiting in the foyer. He wore a dark suit that was perfectly tailored, and when he looked up at her, something flickered in his expression. Surprise, maybe, or assessment. "You look nice," he said, and it sounded like the words were pulled from him reluctantly. "Thank you," Maya replied. They walked to the car in silence. Thomas held the door open, and Maya slid into the back seat, acutely aware of Marcus settling in beside her. He smelled like expensive cologne and something else, coffee maybe, and the faint scent of the outdoors. As Thomas pulled away from the estate, Marcus pulled out his phone and began typing. Maya stared out the window, watching the countryside roll past, trying not to think about how close he was sitting, or how every nerve in her body seemed hyper-aware of his presence. "The Harringtons are important," Marcus said suddenly, not looking up from his phone. "Edward Harrington controls the largest commercial real estate portfolio on the East Coast. I need him on board for the downtown development project." Maya nodded, not sure if she was expected to respond. "His wife, Patricia, is on the board of half a dozen charities. She'll ask you about your involvement with the Chen Foundation." Panic fluttered in Maya's chest. The Chen Foundation. Sophia had mentioned it, but Maya knew nothing about charitable foundations or how to discuss them intelligently. "Of course," she managed. Marcus finally looked at her, his gray eyes sharp and assessing. "Are you feeling all right? You seem different today." Maya's heart stopped. Different how? He studied her for a moment that felt like an eternity. "I'm not sure. Quieter, perhaps." "I'm just tired from the trip to the city," Maya said quickly. "I didn't sleep well." Marcus nodded and returned his attention to his phone, apparently satisfied with the explanation. But Maya's hands were trembling in her lap. If he could tell she was different after just a few hours, how would she possibly make it 7 days? The Harrington estate was even larger than the Kane property, a sprawling mansion with manicured gardens and a fountain that was lit up against the darkening sky. As they walked to the front door, Marcus placed his hand on the small of Maya's back, a gesture that was probably automatic for him, but it sent electricity through her entire body. She reminded herself sternly that he thought she was Sophia. He was touching his fiancée, not her. This wasn't real. Edward and Patricia Harrington greeted them warmly at the door. Edward was a large man with a booming voice and a crushing handshake. Patricia was elegant and poised, the kind of woman who probably never had a hair out of place in her entire life. "Marcus, wonderful to see you," Edward said, clapping him on the shoulder. "And Sophia, you look lovely as always." "Thank you," Maya said, smiling. They were led to a dining room that looked like something from a period drama. Crystal chandeliers, a table that could seat 20, and more forks at each place setting than Maya had ever seen in her life. Dinner was served by silent staff members, course after course of food that Maya didn't recognize. She watched Marcus carefully, trying to follow his lead on which fork to use, when to drink, how to navigate the elaborate meal. The conversation flowed around her, business talk mostly, Marcus and Edward discussing property values and zoning regulations, while Patricia made polite small talk. Maya smiled and nodded, contributing as little as possible. "So, Sophia," Patricia said, turning her attention fully to Maya, "I heard the Chen Foundation is planning a wonderful gala for spring. You must be so busy with the preparations." Maya felt like she'd been thrown into deep water. The Chen Foundation. Sophia had mentioned it, but Maya knew nothing about charitable foundations or how to discuss them intelligently. "Of course," she managed. Carefully, she said, "We're still finalizing the details, but I'll certainly reach out once we have everything confirmed." Patricia smiled. "Wonderful. You know, I've always admired your dedication to the arts. So many young people today don't appreciate culture the way you do." The arts. Finally, something Maya could talk about. Without thinking, she said, "Art is essential. It's how we make sense of the world, how we express what words can't capture. Without it, we're just existing, not really living." The table went quiet. Maya realized too late that she'd spoken with too much passion, too much genuine feeling. This wasn't how Sophia would have responded, cool, detached, saying the right things without actually meaning them. Patricia looked delighted. "What a beautiful way to put it. You know, I don't think I've ever heard you speak so passionately about art before." Maya felt Marcus's eyes on her, intense and searching. She forced a light laugh. "I suppose I'm just feeling more reflective lately." The conversation moved on, but Maya could feel Marcus watching her throughout the rest of the meal. Every time she looked up, his eyes were on her, that same assessing, puzzled expression on his face. After dinner, the men retired to Edward's study for cigars and business talk, while Patricia led Maya to a sitting room for coffee. Maya was relieved to be away from Marcus's scrutiny, but Patricia turned out to be just as dangerous in her own way. "I have to say, Sophia, you seem different tonight," Patricia said as she poured coffee from a delicate porcelain pot. "More animated. It's lovely to see." "Thank you," said Maya carefully. "Marcus seems to have noticed too. He's been watching you all evening." Patricia smiled knowingly. "Perhaps this marriage will be more than just a business arrangement after all." Maya's stomach twisted. "What do you mean?" Patricia leaned in conspiratorially. "Oh, darling, everyone knows your engagement was arranged, but the way Marcus was looking at you tonight, that wasn't the look of a man going through the motions. That was genuine interest." Before Maya could respond, the men returned from the study. Marcus appeared in the doorway, and his eyes immediately found Maya. For just a moment, their gazes locked, and Maya felt something pass between them, a current of awareness that made her breath catch. Then Marcus looked away, thanking the Harringtons for their hospitality, and the moment was broken. The drive home was silent. Marcus stared out his window, while Maya stared out hers, both of them lost in their own thoughts. But Maya was acutely aware of the space between them on the seat, close enough that she could feel the heat of his body, far enough that they weren't touching. When they arrived back at the estate, Marcus walked Maya to the staircase. It was a strangely formal gesture, old-fashioned and courtly. "Thank you for tonight," he said. "You handled the Harringtons well." "Of course," Maya replied. He studied her face in the dim light of the foyer. "You really do seem different. I can't quite put my finger on it." Maya's heart raced. Different good or different bad? The question seemed to surprise him. A small smile tugged at the corner of his mouth, the first real smile she'd seen from him. "Different good," he said quietly. "Different interesting." He reached out and tucked a strand of hair behind her ear, his fingers brushing her cheek. It was such a simple gesture, but it sent sparks through Maya's entire body. "Good night, Sophia," Marcus said, his voice lower than before. "Good night," Maya whispered. She watched him walk away toward his own wing of the house, and only when he disappeared did she allow herself to breathe. This was dangerous. This feeling blooming in her chest, this awareness of him that had nothing to do with pretending and everything to do with the way he'd looked at her over dinner, the way he'd smiled just now, the way his fingers had felt against her skin. Maya climbed the stairs to Sophia's bedroom and closed the door behind her. She caught sight of herself in the mirror, still wearing Sophia's dress, Sophia's jewelry, Sophia's life. But the woman looking back at her didn't feel like Sophia anymore. She felt like someone caught between two identities, neither one quite fitting. Maya pulled out her phone and looked at the calendar. Day 1 was over. 6 more days to go. 6 more days of pretending to be someone else while trying not to lose herself completely. 6 more days of avoiding Marcus Kane's penetrating gaze and fighting the growing attraction she felt every time he was near. 6 more days of lying to a man who was starting to look at her like she mattered. Maya changed into one of Sophia's silk nightgowns and climbed into the enormous bed. But sleep was a long time coming. She kept replaying the evening in her mind, Marcus's hand on her back, his eyes on her face, his fingers in her hair. "Different good," he'd said. "Different interesting." If he only knew how different she really was, if he only knew that the woman he was starting to notice, starting to see, wasn't his fiancée at all, but a broke artist who was lying to him with every breath. Somewhere in the house, Maya heard a door close. She wondered if Marcus was in his room, if he was thinking about tonight, if he'd noticed all the small ways she wasn't Sophia. And she wondered, with a twist of fear and something else she didn't want to name, what would happen when he finally figured out the truth. Outside the window, the moon rose over the gardens, casting silver light across the grounds. Somewhere out there, Sophia was with James, living her truth, chasing her happiness. And here was Maya, living a lie, in a borrowed bed, in a borrowed life, trying not to think about how the touch of a stranger's fingers against her cheek had felt like coming home. Tomorrow would be day 2. She just had to make it through 6 more days. 6 more days before everything fell apart. Maya woke up on day 2 to find a note slipped under her bedroom door. It was written in clean, precise handwriting on expensive stationery. "Join me for breakfast on the terrace at 8 m." She checked the clock. 7:30. Just enough time to panic. In the 2 days since Sophia had asked her to switch places, Maya had done extensive research on how to avoid Marcus Kane. Sophia had assured her that he was never home, always working, completely disinterested in his fiancée's daily life. The plan had been simple: stay out of his way, make brief appearances when necessary, and count down the days until Sophia returned. But Marcus wasn't following the script. First, the business dinner last night, and now breakfast? This wasn't supposed to be happening. Maya dressed quickly in one of Sophia's casual outfits, designer jeans and a cashmere sweater that probably cost more than Maya's monthly rent. She found the terrace easily enough. The estate was so large that discovering new spaces was a daily occurrence. Marcus was already there, sitting at a small table with coffee and a newspaper. He looked different in the morning light, younger somehow, less severe. He'd rolled up the sleeves of his white shirt, and Maya could see his forearms, muscled and tan. It was such a simple thing, but it made him seem more human, more real. "Good morning," he said, looking up as she approached. "I hope you don't mind. I realized last night that we barely know each other and we're supposed to be getting married in 3 months." Maya's stomach dropped. "Oh, no, of course not. This is nice." A staff member appeared immediately, pouring her coffee and offering pastries. Maya took a croissant she didn't want just to have something to do with her hands. "I've been thinking," Marcus said, setting down his newspaper, "about what Patricia said last night, about our engagement being just a business arrangement." "What about it?" Maya asked carefully. "She's not wrong, but she's not entirely right either." He paused, seeming to choose his words carefully. "When our families arranged this marriage, I agreed to it because it made sense strategically. Your family's political connections, my financial resources. It was a logical partnership." Maya nodded, unsure where this was going. "But last night, watching you at dinner, listening to you talk about art," he trailed off, his gray eyes fixed on her face, "I realized I don't actually know you at all. And that seems like a mistake. Even in a business arrangement, we should at least be able to have a conversation." This was dangerous territory. The more time Maya spent with Marcus, the more chances she had to slip up, to reveal that she wasn't Sophia. But she couldn't exactly refuse without raising suspicion. "What do you want to know?" Maya asked. Marcus smiled slightly. "Everything. Start with why you're so passionate about art. I've never heard you talk like that before." Maya took a sip of coffee to buy herself time. Sophia had told her their engagement was cold and distant, that Marcus never asked personal questions, but here he was, asking exactly the kind of question that could expose her. "I suppose I've always found art to be honest," Maya said carefully, trying to channel what Sophia might say while staying true to herself. "In a world where everyone wears masks and plays roles, art is raw and real. It's someone's truth put on canvas or carved in stone." "Do you feel like you wear a mask?" Marcus asked, his eyes sharp and assessing. Maya's heart raced. "Doesn't everyone?" "I suppose they do." He leaned back in his chair, studying her. "What would you do if you didn't have to wear the mask? If you could be anyone, do anything?" The question caught Maya off guard. She thought about her real life, the cramped apartment, the 3 jobs, the constant struggle to make ends meet while chasing a dream of being a real artist. But there was freedom in that struggle too. Freedom to be herself, to create what she wanted, to live authentically even if she was living poor. "I think I'd paint," she said honestly. "Not for galleries or critics or anyone's approval, just paint because I needed to, because it's how I understand the world." Marcus was quiet for a moment, and Maya realized she'd said too much, revealed too much of herself instead of staying in character as Sophia. But instead of suspicion, she saw something else in his expression. Interest. Real, genuine interest. "I didn't know you painted," he said. Maya's mind raced. Did Sophia paint? She had no idea. "I don't really, not anymore. I gave it up years ago." "Why?" "Because it wasn't practical. Because there were expectations, obligations, a life to live that didn't include paint-stained hands and canvases covering every surface." She was talking about her own life now, not Sophia's, but the words felt true anyway. Maybe Sophia had given up things too. Maybe everyone did. "That's sad," Marcus said quietly. "Giving up something you love because it isn't practical?" Maya looked at him in surprise. "Don't you do that every day? Run a company instead of, I don't know, whatever it is you actually love doing?" Marcus laughed, and the sound transformed his face. He looked younger, lighter, like a different person entirely. "You know what? I'm not sure I remember what I love doing. I've been running Kane Industries for so long that work has become who I am." "That's sad too," Maya said softly. Their eyes met across the table, and something passed between them, a moment of real connection, of seeing and being seen. Maya felt her breath catch. Marcus broke the gaze first, looking out over the gardens. My father built this company from nothing. When he died 5 years ago, I took over. I was 27, completely unprepared, and everyone was waiting for me to fail." "But you didn't," Maya said. "No, I didn't. I worked 16-hour days every day for years. I made Kane Industries stronger, more profitable, more powerful than my father ever did. And somewhere along the way, I forgot how to be anything except the CEO." I heard the loneliness in his voice, the isolation. I understood it in a way she hadn't expected. She'd been so focused on survival, on making rent and paying bills and keeping her head above water, that she'd forgotten how to just exist, how to enjoy things without calculating their cost, how to be Maya instead of just being broke. Maybe it's not too late to remember who you are outside of work. Marcus turned back to her, and the intensity in his gaze made her heart race. "You know, Sophia, I think this is the first real conversation we've ever had." Guilt crashed over Maya like a wave. He thought he was connecting with his fiancée, opening up to the woman he was supposed to marry, but it was all a lie. She wasn't Sophia. This moment, this connection, none of it was real. "Marcus," she started, not sure what she was going to say. Maybe she should tell him the truth. Maybe she should end this before it went any further. But before she could continue, his phone buzzed. He glanced at it and his expression shifted, the open vulnerability disappearing behind his business mask. "I have to take this," he said, standing. "But Maya—" He stopped, his eyes widening slightly. Maya's blood turned to ice. He'd called her Maya, her real name. Had she somehow revealed herself? Was it over? But Marcus just shook his head. "I'm sorry, I meant Sophia. I don't know why I said that." He was already walking away, phone to his ear, leaving Maya sitting alone on the terrace with her heart pounding. Maya! He'd called her Maya! It was just a slip of the tongue, a random mistake. It had to be. But what if it wasn't? What if on some subconscious level, Marcus knew she wasn't his fiancée? What if he could sense the deception, even if he couldn't name it? Maya spent the rest of the morning in Sophia's room trying to calm down and failing. She kept replaying breakfast in her mind, the conversation, the connection, the way Marcus had looked at her when she talked about art, and that slip of the tongue that might mean everything or nothing. Around noon, there was a knock on her door. Maya opened it to find Margaret holding a large box. "This just arrived for you, Miss Chen," she said, setting it on the bed. Maya waited until Margaret left before opening it. Inside was an easel, canvases, and a complete set of professional-grade paints, the kind of supplies Maya dreamed about in her real life but could never afford. There was a note in Marcus's handwriting. "You said you gave up painting because it wasn't practical. Maybe it's time to be impractical. M." Maya sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the supplies with tears in her eyes. This was the most thoughtful gift anyone had ever given her, but it wasn't really for her. It was for Sophia, for a woman who probably didn't even paint based on a conversation that had been built on lies. She should return it. She should tell Marcus it was too much, that she couldn't accept it. But instead, Maya set up the easel by the window and opened the paints. Just for an hour, she told herself, just to feel like herself again. She painted without thinking, letting her hands remember what her mind tried to forget. The canvas came alive with color, deep blues and grays, storm clouds over an ocean. She didn't realize what she was painting until she stepped back and saw it clearly. Marcus's eyes. She'd painted Marcus's eyes, that storm cloud gray that seemed to see right through her. Maya was still staring at the canvas when another knock came at the door. She quickly threw a sheet over the painting and answered it. Marcus stood in the hallway, still in his work clothes, his tie loosened. "I saw the light on in your room. Did you get the supplies?" "Yes," Maya said. "Marcus, this is too much. I can't—" "You can," he interrupted, "and you should. Life's too short to deny yourself things that bring you joy." He stepped into the room and Maya's heart raced. He was so close, and the space felt suddenly intimate, charged with an energy she didn't know how to handle. "Are you painting something?" Marcus asked, noticing the covered canvas. "No," Maya said too quickly. "I mean, yes, but it's nothing, just experimenting." Marcus reached for the sheet, and Maya grabbed his hand without thinking. The moment their skin touched, electricity shot through her. They both froze, hands clasped, standing too close in the fading afternoon light. "Sophia," Marcus said softly, and his voice was rough, uncertain. "What's happening here?" Maya couldn't breathe, couldn't think. "I don't know. I can't stop thinking about you, about this morning, about last night, about the way you've been different since you came back from the city." He lifted his other hand to her face, his thumb brushing her cheekbone. "It's like you're finally real, finally here, finally someone I can actually see." Maya knew she should pull away, should stop this before it went any further, but she was drowning in his eyes, in the warmth of his touch, in the wanting that she could see written all over his face. "Marcus," she whispered, and it sounded like a plea. He leaned in slowly, giving her time to pull away, to stop this. But Maya didn't pull away. She couldn't. She was caught between her guilt and her desire, between the lie she was living and the truth of what she felt in this moment. When Marcus kissed her, it was soft and tentative, a question more than an answer. Maya's eyes fluttered closed, and for just a moment she let herself forget everything except the feeling of his lips on hers, his hand in her hair, the way her entire body seemed to come alive under his touch. But then reality crashed back. She was kissing her sister's fiancé. She was kissing a man who thought she was someone else. She was taking something that didn't belong to her, living a moment that was built on deception. Maya pulled back abruptly, her hand over her mouth, her eyes wide with shock and guilt. "I'm sorry, I can't. I can't." Marcus looked stunned, his breathing uneven. "Sophia, Please," Maya interrupted. "Please, just go. I need time to think." Marcus stared at her for a long moment, confusion and hurt warring on his face. Then he nodded slowly and walked to the door. He paused at the threshold, looking back at her. "I don't know what's happening between us, Sophia, but it's real, Sophia. Whatever this is, it's real." Then he was gone, and Maya was alone with the painting of his eyes and the ghost of his kiss on her lips. She sank to the floor, her back against the bed, and let the tears come. This was supposed to be simple. 7 days of pretending, of playing a role, of collecting her money and going back to her real life. But nothing about this was simple anymore, because she was falling for Marcus Kane, falling for a man who didn't even know her real name, falling for someone who was kissing a ghost, a lie, a woman who didn't exist. And in 4 more days, Sophia would come back, and Maya would have to give it all up. The painting supplies, the beautiful room, the feeling of being seen and wanted and real. Marcus. She'd have to give up Marcus. Maya pulled out her phone and stared at it, wanting desperately to call Sophia, to beg her to come back early, to end this before her heart broke completely. But she didn't call, because despite the guilt, despite the lies, despite knowing this could only end in pain, Maya wanted 4 more days. 4 more days of being the woman Marcus Kane was falling in love with, even if that woman wasn't really her.
Maya woke up on day 3, thinking about Marcus's lips. She'd barely slept. Every time she closed her eyes, she relived the kiss, the way his hand had felt in her hair, the tenderness mixed with urgency, the way her entire body had responded to his touch. And every time she remembered it, guilt crashed over her in waves. She'd kissed her sister's fiancé. She'd let him believe she was Sophia. She'd lied with her silence, with her acceptance of his affection, with every moment she didn't tell him the truth. Maya needed to end this. She needed to pull away, maintain distance, get through the next 4 days without letting things get any more complicated. But when she opened her bedroom door to go downstairs for coffee, she found a note on the floor that had been slipped underneath. In Marcus's handwriting, "Breakfast on the terrace at 8? I promise not to kiss you again unless you ask me to. M." Maya's heart did something complicated in her chest. He was giving her control, giving her space, being respectful in a way that made her like him even more, which made everything so much worse. She should decline, should send a note back saying she was busy or tired or anything that would create distance between them. Instead, Maya found herself getting dressed, brushing her hair, and walking down to the terrace at exactly 8 o'clock. Marcus was already there, and when he saw her, his entire face lit up with a smile that made Maya's knees weak. "You came," he said. "I came. I wasn't sure you would. After yesterday," he trailed off, looking uncertain in a way Maya had never seen him before. "I scared you off, didn't I?" "No," Maya said, sitting down across from him. "You didn't scare me off. I scared myself." Marcus poured her coffee, and they sat in comfortable silence for a moment, watching the morning sun paint the gardens gold. "Can I ask you something?" Marcus said, finally. "Of course." "What changed between us? You came back from your trip to the city, and suddenly it's like I'm seeing you for the first time, like you're actually here with me instead of just going through the motions of this engagement." Maya's stomach twisted. "Maybe I just decided to stop hiding." "Hiding from what?" "From you, from this, from the possibility that this arrangement could be something more than just business." It was as close to the truth as Maya could get. She had stopped hiding, not Sophia, Maya herself. She'd let her real personality show through, her genuine reactions, her authentic self, and Marcus had responded to that. He was falling for Maya, not Sophia, Maya. But he didn't know that's what was happening. "I'm glad you stopped hiding," Marcus said quietly, "because I like what I see. I like you, Sophia, more than I ever expected to." The name hit Maya like a slap. Sophia. He was talking to Sophia, falling for Sophia, even if the person sitting across from him was actually Maya. "Marcus," she started, not sure what she was going to say, but knowing she needed to say something. But before she could continue, Margaret appeared at the terrace entrance. "Mr. Kane, I apologize for the interruption, but you have an urgent call from your attorney. He says it's about the Westbrook acquisition." Marcus sighed and stood. "I'm sorry, this will just take a few minutes." After he left, Maya sat alone on the terrace, her coffee cooling in front of her, her mind racing. She needed to tell him, today, now, before this went any further. But then what? She'd break the deal with Sophia. She'd lose the $50,000 she desperately needed. She'd humiliate Marcus and probably destroy whatever relationship he might have had with the real Sophia. And she'd lose these last 4 days with him. Maya pulled out her phone and called the one number she'd sworn she wouldn't call, Sophia's emergency line, a voicemail that Sophia had promised to check once a day. "Sophia, it's me," Maya said after the beep. "I can't do this anymore. I'm falling for him. He's falling for me, or who he thinks is you. This is wrong on so many levels, and I need you to come back early, please, before I ruin everything." She hung up and stared at her phone, waiting for it to ring, but it stayed silent. Marcus returned 10 minutes later, looking frustrated. "Everything okay?" Maya asked. "Just business complications. Nothing that can't wait." He sat back down and reached across the table to take her hand. "Where were we?" "Marcus, I need to tell you something." "Okay?" His expression grew serious. "What is it?" Maya opened her mouth, ready to confess everything. But then she looked at his face, the concern there, the genuine care, the vulnerability he was showing her that she suspected he rarely showed anyone. "I'm scared," she said instead, "of what's happening between us, of how fast it's moving, of what it means." "I'm scared too," Marcus admitted. "I've never felt like this before. I've had relationships, but they were always so calculated, so strategic. This feels different. It feels real. What if it's not? What if we're both just caught up in the moment, and when reality sets in, we realize it was all a mistake?" Marcus stood and moved to her side of the table, kneeling beside her chair so they were at eye level. "Then we deal with that when it happens. But Maya," he stopped abruptly, his eyes widening. Maya's blood turned to ice. "What did you just call me?" "I said Sophia, didn't I?" But Marcus looked confused, uncertain. "You said Maya." "I don't know anyone named Maya." He was staring at her now, really staring, and Maya could see his mind working. "Why did I say that name?" "It was just a slip of the tongue," Maya said quickly, her heart pounding. "People mix up names all the time. But I don't. I never do." Marcus stood, running a hand through his hair. "This has happened before. That first day you came back, I almost called you Maya then too." "Marcus, you're overthinking this." "Am I? Or is my subconscious trying to tell me something? That there's something different about you, something I can't quite place?" Maya felt panic rising in her chest. "I'm the same person I've always been." "No, you're not. And that's what's so strange. You're better, you're warmer, funnier, more real. You're everything I wished you would be, but never expected." He touched her face gently. "It's like you're a completely different person." "People change, Marcus. Not this much, not this fast." But even as he said it, he didn't sound convinced. He sounded like he wanted to believe her, wanted to accept the impossible transformation at face value. "Maybe I just decided to let you see the real me," Maya whispered. "Then show me more. Show me everything. I want to know you, Sophia, the real you." And there it was again, that name, Sophia, a constant reminder that everything between them was built on a lie. Maya stood and wrapped her arms around Marcus's neck, pulling him close. "Kiss me," she said. "I thought you were scared." "I am. Kiss me anyway." Marcus kissed her like he was trying to memorize the feel of her lips, the taste of her mouth, the way she fit against him. Maya kissed him back with desperation, with guilt, with a terrible knowledge that this was stolen time with a man who didn't even know her real name. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, Marcus pressed his forehead to hers. "Stay with me today. No work, no obligations, just us." "Okay," Maya whispered. They spent the day like two people falling in love. Marcus showed her parts of the estate she'd never seen, a library with floor-to-ceiling windows and thousands of books, a greenhouse full of orchids, a studio apartment over the garage that belonged to his mother before she passed away. She was an artist, Marcus said as they stood in the dusty studio, looking at canvases stacked against the walls. "My father wanted her to give it up when they got married, said it wasn't appropriate for a Kane wife to sell paintings, but she kept this space, kept creating in secret. That's sad that she had to hide something she loved. She told me once, right before she died, that she regretted it, that she wished she'd fought harder for her art, that she'd let fear and expectation dictate her choices." Marcus looked at Maya. "I don't want that for us. I don't want you to ever feel like you have to hide parts of yourself from me." The irony was crushing. Maya was hiding everything from him, her identity, her life, her very name. "What if the real me is disappointing?" Maya asked quietly. "Impossible." They had lunch in the garden, sitting on a blanket under an old oak tree. Marcus told her stories about his childhood, about the pressure of being a Kane, about his father's expectations and his own fears of not measuring up. Maya told stories too, carefully edited versions of her own life, about growing up without much money, about working multiple jobs, about the struggle to pursue dreams when reality kept getting in the way. She didn't realize how much truth she was revealing until Marcus said, "You sound like you're talking from personal experience, not just philosophy." "Maybe I am," Maya said. "Maybe there are things about me you don't know, things I haven't told you." "Then tell me now." Maya looked at him.
really looked at him, at the man who'd been nothing but kind to her, who'd bought her painting supplies and believed in her talent, who'd opened his heart in a way she suspected he rarely did with anyone. Marcus, Her phone rang. Maya pulled it out, ready to ignore it, but the caller ID made her heart stop. Sophia.
I need to take this, Maya said, standing quickly. I'm sorry, it's important. She walked far enough away that Marcus couldn't hear, then answered with shaking hands. Sophia? Maya, I got your message. Sophia's voice was strained. But I can't come back early. James and I are in Europe. We eloped. You what? We got married yesterday, in Paris. It was spontaneous and perfect and exactly what we both needed. Sophia, that's wonderful, but I know I asked you for 1 week, but I need more time. I need to figure out how to tell my family, how to handle the fallout with Marcus. Can you give me just a few more days? Maya looked back at Marcus, who was watching her with concern on his face. How many more days? 3, maybe 4. I promise, Maya, I'll make it right. I'll pay you extra. I'll handle everything. Just please, give me a little more time. Maya closed her eyes. Every instinct screamed at her to say no, to demand Sophia come back now before Maya fell any deeper, before this lie destroyed her completely. But she thought about Sophia's voice, happy, free, finally choosing her own life. And she thought about the $50,000, about her art studio, about the chance to save her dreams. Fine, Maya said, but Sophia, this ends in 4 days. No extensions, no excuses. Thank you. Thank you so much. I love you, Maya. After they hung up, Maya stood there for a long moment, trying to compose herself before facing Marcus. 4 more days. She had 4 more days of this lie. 4 more days of being Sophia. 4 more days with Marcus before her world came crashing down. When she walked back to the blanket, Marcus stood immediately. Is everything okay? You look upset. I'm fine, just family stuff. It's complicated. Marcus pulled her into his arms. Whatever it is, you can tell me. You know that, right? I know, Maya lied. They went back to the house as the sun began to set. At the door to her room, Marcus stopped and turned to face her. I meant what I said this morning. I'm falling for you. Hard, and I know that's probably not smart given our arrangement, given the circumstances, but I can't help it. Maya's throat tightened. Marcus, you don't have to say it back. I just needed you to know. I'm falling for you too, Maya whispered, and it was the truest thing she'd said all day. And it terrifies me because I don't know if this is real or if we're both just caught up in something that can't last. Then let's make it real. Let's make it last. Marcus took her hands in his. Marry me. Not because our families arranged it, not for business or strategy or any of that. Marry me because you want to, because we choose each other. Maya felt tears streaming down her face. You don't know what you're asking. Yes, I do. I'm asking you to take a chance on us, on this thing between us that's crazy and impossible and more real than anything I've ever felt. I can't answer that right now. Then think about it. We don't have to tell anyone. We can keep it between us until you're ready. But Sophia, I need you to know, I don't want a marriage of convenience anymore. I want you, all of you, for real. After he left, Maya collapsed onto her bed, her body shaking with sobs. Marcus had just proposed to Sophia because he'd fallen in love with Maya pretending to be Sophia. And in 4 days, the real Sophia would come back and Marcus would discover that everything, the connection, the intimacy, the falling in love, had all been a lie. He would hate her. He would hate them both. And Maya would lose the best thing that ever happened to her, all because she had agreed to switch places with her sister for $50,000. She thought about calling Sophia back, demanding she return immediately. But what good would it do? The damage was already done. Marcus had fallen for someone who didn't exist, a hybrid of Sophia's identity and Maya's personality. There was no good ending to this story. Maya could only hope that when the truth came out,
Marcus would understand that somehow, against all odds, the connection they'd built would be strong enough to survive the deception. But deep down, she knew better. In 4 days, this would all be over, and Maya would be left with nothing but memories of a love that had never really been hers to begin with.
Maya had 3 days left, and Marcus wanted an answer to his proposal. She'd managed to avoid giving him one for the past 24 hours, claiming she needed time to think, that such an important decision couldn't be rushed. Marcus had been patient, understanding even, but Maya could see the hope in his eyes every time he looked at her. Hope that was going to be shattered when Sophia returned. It was day 4 of the switch, and Maya was sitting in Sophia's bedroom staring at her phone. No messages from Sophia, no updates on when she'd actually be coming back, just silence. Maya had tried calling 3 times that morning. Each call went straight to voicemail. She was starting to panic. A soft knock on her door made Maya jump. "Come in," she called, quickly wiping her eyes. It was Margaret, carrying a garment bag. "Mr. Kane asked me to bring this to you, Miss Chen. He said you'll need it for tonight." "Tonight?" "The charity gala at the Metropolitan. Mr. Kane mentioned it to you last week." Maya's mind raced. Sophia had mentioned something about a gala in her hasty briefing, but Maya had assumed it was weeks away, well after the switch would be over. "Of course," Maya said, trying to sound calm. "I'd forgotten what day it was." Margaret hung the garment bag in the closet and turned back with a kind smile. "If I may say so, Miss Chen, you seem different lately, happier. Mr. Kane seems different too. It's lovely to see." After Margaret left, Maya unzipped the garment bag and felt her breath catch. The dress inside was stunning, a deep emerald silk gown that probably cost more than her annual rent. Sophia's dress, for Sophia's life, for an event Maya had no business attending. But she had no choice. Refusing would raise too many questions. Maya spent the afternoon in a state of barely controlled anxiety. She tried Sophia's phone 6 more times. Nothing. She paced the bedroom, rehearsing what she'd say to Marcus, how she'd explain that she couldn't give him an answer because she wasn't actually his fiancée. At 6 o'clock, Maya put on the emerald dress. It fit perfectly, of course. She and Sophia were identical. In the mirror, she looked every inch the sophisticated heiress, the perfect match for a man like Marcus Kane. But inside, she was still Maya, still the struggling artist who'd agreed to this insane plan for $50,000, still the woman who'd fallen in love with a man who didn't even know her real name. Marcus was waiting at the bottom of the grand staircase, and when he saw her, his expression took Maya's breath away. He looked at her like she was the most beautiful thing he'd ever seen, like she was precious, like she was everything. "You're stunning," he said, offering his hand to help her down the last few steps. "Thank you. I have something for you." Marcus pulled out a velvet box and opened it. Inside was a necklace, diamonds and emeralds that probably cost more than Maya would make in a lifetime. "It was my mother's. I want you to wear it tonight." Maya's hands trembled as Marcus fastened the necklace around her throat. His fingers brushed her skin, and she felt that familiar electricity that always sparked between them. "Sophia," Marcus said softly, turning her to face him. "Have you thought about what I asked you? About marrying me for real?" "Marcus, You don't have to answer tonight," he interrupted gently. "But I want you to know something. Whatever happens, whatever you decide, these past few days with you have been the happiest of my life. You've made me remember what it feels like to actually live instead of just exist." Guilt crashed over Maya in waves. "Marcus, there's something I need to tell you." "What is it?"
Maya opened her mouth, ready to confess everything, but before she could speak, Thomas appeared at the entrance. "Mr. Kane, the car is ready. We should leave now to arrive on time." The moment was lost.
Marcus took Maya's hand and led her to the car, and all Maya could do was follow, her confession stuck in her throat. The Metropolitan was transformed for the gala. Hundreds of people in evening wear mingled under crystal chandeliers, champagne flowed freely, and an orchestra played in the ballroom. It was the kind of event Maya had only seen in movies, opulent, exclusive, utterly removed from her real life. "Stay close to me," Marcus murmured as they entered. "There are a lot of people here who will want to talk business, and I'd rather spend the evening with you." But staying close to Marcus proved impossible. Within minutes, they were separated by the crowd. Society matrons wanted to discuss the Chen Foundation with Sophia. Business associates needed Marcus's attention. Maya found herself swept into conversations she barely understood, pretending to know people she'd never met, playing a role she had no right to play. "Sophia Chen, is that you?" Maya turned to find a woman in her 60s approaching with a warm smile. She had kind eyes and an air of authority that suggested she was someone important. "I'm sorry," Maya said carefully. "Have we met?" The woman's smile faltered slightly. "Of course we have, dear. I'm Catherine Montgomery. We've served on the Chen Foundation board together for 3 years." Maya's stomach dropped. "Of course, Mrs. Montgomery. I apologize. I've been so scattered lately." "I can see that. You seem different somehow." Catherine studied Maya's face with uncomfortable intensity. "Are you feeling quite well?" "Just tired. It's been a busy few weeks."
"I imagine so, with the wedding planning and all. Although I must say, I never expected to see you and Marcus Kane actually fall in love. When your families first announced the engagement, we all assumed it was purely strategic." "People change," Maya said quietly. "Indeed they do." Catherine leaned in conspiratorially. "Between you and me, I'm glad. Marcus is a good man. He deserves someone who sees him for who he is, not just what he represents. And you, my dear, deserve to be happy. I know your family's expectations have been demanding." Before Maya could respond, she felt a hand on her lower back. Marcus had found her again. "Mrs. Montgomery, I hope you don't mind if I steal my fiancé away," he said with a charming smile. "Not at all. You two make a lovely couple." Marcus led Maya onto the dance floor as the orchestra began a waltz. He pulled her close, one hand at her waist, the other holding hers. "You looked like you needed rescuing." "I did. Thank you." They moved together across the floor, and Maya was struck by how natural it felt, how right. She danced with Marcus at the first gala, but this was different. This time, she wasn't pretending to be comfortable in this world. This time, she was just herself, dancing with a man she loved. "I've been thinking," Marcus said as they turned, "about what you said yesterday, about being scared." "Marcus, let me finish. You're right to be scared. I'm scared too. But I think the best things in life are scary. They require us to be vulnerable, to take risks, to trust that the other person won't hurt us." "What if I do hurt you?" Maya whispered. "What if I'm not who you think I am?" Marcus pulled her closer. "You're exactly who I think you are. You're kind and talented and real. You see the world in a way that makes me want to be better. You make me laugh. You challenge me. You make me feel like I'm more than just a CEO or a Kane heir. With you, I'm just Marcus." Tears pricked Maya's eyes. "You're just Marcus with me, too." "Then what are we afraid of?" "Everything," Maya wanted to scream. "I'm afraid of losing you when you find out I've been lying. I'm afraid of breaking your heart. I'm afraid of losing the best thing that's ever happened to me." But she just said, "The future. What happens after tonight, after this moment? What happens when reality crashes in?" "Then let's not think about the future," Marcus said, spinning her gently. "Let's just be here, now, together." The song ended and the crowd applauded.
Marcus led Maya off the dance floor and out onto a terrace that overlooked the city. The night air was cool and lights sparkled across the skyline. "I want to show you something," Marcus said, pulling out his phone. He scrolled through photos until he found what he was looking for. "This is what I was like before you." The photos showed Marcus at some corporate event, his expression cold and distant. He looked powerful but utterly alone. "And this," Marcus showed her another photo, "is me now." It was from a few days ago. Marcus and Maya, though he thought it was Sophia, laughing together in the garden. His whole face was transformed, opened and happy in a way that made Maya's chest ache. "You changed my life," Marcus said simply, "and I don't want to go back to who I was before I really saw you, before you let me in. Marcus, I need to tell you something. It's important." "Okay?"
Maya took a deep breath. This was it. No more delays, no more excuses. She had to tell him the truth. "I'm not—" "There you are," a man's voice interrupted him. Maya turned to see a tall man in an expensive suit approaching with a woman on his arm. "Marcus, good to see you. And Sophia, you look radiant as always." Marcus's expression tightened almost imperceptibly. "Edward, Julia, I didn't realize you'd be here tonight." "We wouldn't miss it," Edward said, his eyes flicking between Marcus and Maya with something that looked like calculation. "Sophia, I don't think you've met my wife. Julia, this is Sophia Chen, Marcus's fiancée." Julia smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Actually, we've met at the Chen Foundation benefit last spring. You gave a wonderful speech about arts education." Maya's mind went blank. She had no memory of this event, no idea what speech Julia was talking about. "That's kind of you to say. I was particularly moved by your quote about how art saved your life when you were struggling with your mother's illness. It was so personal, so raw." "Thank you," Maya managed, having no idea what else to say. Julia's eyes narrowed slightly. "You do remember, don't you? You cried during the speech. We all did." "Of course I remember," Maya lied. "It was an emotional day." But she could see doubt flickering in Julia's expression, see the gears turning as Julia tried to reconcile the woman standing before her with the woman she remembered. "You seem different tonight," Julia said slowly. "I can't quite put my finger on it, but something's changed." "People change," Marcus said, his hand finding Maya's. "Sophia has been working on being more present, more authentic. I think it suits her." Julia said, her skepticism clear. "Well, it was lovely seeing you both. Edward, we should find our table." After they left, Maya felt like she couldn't breathe. Someone had noticed, someone suspected. The carefully constructed lie was starting to crack. "I need some air," she said. "Are you okay? You look pale." "I'm fine. I just need a moment alone." Maya fled to the ladies' room and locked herself in a stall, her hands shaking. This was falling apart. Julia suspected something. Others might too, and she still hadn't been able to tell Marcus the truth. She pulled out her phone and tried Sophia one more time. This time, miraculously, her sister answered. "Maya, I'm so sorry I haven't called." "Where are you?" Maya demanded. "You were supposed to be back today. I'm at a gala with Marcus and people are starting to notice I'm not you, and he just proposed, and I can't do this anymore, Sophia. I can't." I know. I'm coming back. I promise. I'll be there tomorrow." "You said that yesterday." "This time I mean it. James and I are flying back tonight. I'll be at the estate by morning. Just one more day, Maya, please." Maya wanted to scream, wanted to throw her phone across the bathroom, wanted to confess everything to Marcus right now and deal with the consequences. But she just said, "Fine, one more day. But Sophia, when you get back, we need to talk about how we're going to fix this mess." "We will, I promise. And Maya, thank you for everything." When Maya returned to the ballroom, Marcus was waiting. He took one look at her face and said, "We're leaving." "But the gala?" "Doesn't matter. You're upset. We're going home." In the car, Maya leaned against Marcus's shoulder, exhausted and overwhelmed. He held her hand and didn't ask questions, just let her be. "I love you," Maya whispered. "I need you to know that. Whatever happens,
Whatever you find out, I love you." Marcus kissed the top of her head. "I love you too, and nothing is going to change that." But Maya knew better. When Sophia returned tomorrow, when Marcus discovered the truth, everything would change. She had one more night of being the woman Marcus loved. One more night before her world came crashing down. When they got home, Marcus walked Maya to her door. "Will you give me an answer?" he asked quietly. "About my proposal? I know you're scared. I know it's complicated. But Sophia, I need to know. Will you marry me? For real?" Maya looked at him, at this beautiful, complicated man who'd somehow seen past all her defenses and fallen in love with who she really was, even if he didn't know her real name. "Ask me again tomorrow," she said, "after we've both had a chance to think, to be sure. I'm already sure. Ask me tomorrow anyway, please." Marcus nodded, though she could see the confusion in his eyes. "Tomorrow then." He kissed her goodnight, soft and sweet and full of promise. Then he walked away, and Maya closed herself in Sophia's bedroom and let the tears come. Tomorrow, Sophia would return. Tomorrow, the truth would come out. Tomorrow, Marcus would discover that the woman he'd proposed to didn't exist, that she was a hybrid of Sophia's identity and Maya's soul. And Maya would lose him. She'd lose everything. Unless she ran. She could pack her bags tonight, leave before Sophia returned, take the $50,000 and disappear. Never see Marcus again. Never have to face the hurt and betrayal in his eyes when he realized she'd been lying to him. But even as the thought crossed her mind, Maya knew she couldn't do it. She owed Marcus the truth. She owed him a chance to be angry, to hate her, to understand why she'd done what she'd done. She owed him an explanation, even if it destroyed them both. Tomorrow, she'd tell him everything. Tonight, she let herself remember what it felt like to be loved by Marcus Kane, even if it was the last night she'd ever have it.
Maya woke up on day 5 knowing it was the last day of the lie. Sophia had texted at 6 in the morning. "Landed. I'll be at the estate by noon. I'm so sorry, Maya, for everything." Maya stared at the message for a long time. Noon. In 6 hours, Sophia would walk through the door and this entire charade would be over. In 6 hours, Maya would have to face Marcus and tell him the truth. Or Sophia would tell him, or he'd figure it out on his own when he saw them both together. However it happened, by the end of today, Marcus would know he'd been lied to. Maya got dressed slowly, her hands trembling as she buttoned one of Sophia's simple blouses. She looked at herself in the mirror, still Sophia's reflection staring back, still wearing Sophia's clothes in Sophia's room. But inside, she was Maya. She'd always been Maya. And Marcus had fallen in love with Maya, even if he thought her name was Sophia. There was a knock on her door. "Come in," Maya called, expecting Margaret. But it was Marcus who entered, carrying a tray with coffee and pastries. "I thought we could have breakfast together," he said, with a smile that made Maya's heart break. "Just the two of us, before I have to dive into work calls." "That sounds perfect." They sat by the window, the morning sun streaming in, and for a moment Maya could pretend this was real, that she was really Marcus's fiancée, that they really had a future together. "You're quiet this morning," Marcus observed. "Are you okay?" "Just thinking." "About my proposal?" Maya set down her coffee cup carefully. "Marcus, before you ask me again, there's something I need to tell you, something important." "Okay?" He reached across and took her hand. "You can tell me anything." Maya opened her mouth, but before she could speak, her phone buzzed. A text from Sophia. "Running late, car trouble. We'll be there by 2. 2 o'clock. Maya had 4 more hours. "What did you want to tell me?" Marcus prompted. Maya looked at him, at the warmth in his gray eyes, the openness in his expression. He trusted her, he loved her, and in a few hours, both of those things would be destroyed. "I wanted to tell you that I love you.
which was true even if it wasn't what she'd meant to say, and that whatever happens today, I need you to remember that everything I feel for you is real. Marcus smiled and squeezed her hand. I know it is. I can see it in your eyes every time you look at me, feel it in the way you kiss me. Sophia, you're the most genuine person I've ever known. Genuine. The word was a knife in Maya's chest. What if I'm not? Maya asked quietly. What if there are things about me you don't know? Things that would change how you feel? Like what? Like, what if I wasn't who you thought I was? Marcus studied her face. Are you trying to tell me something? Yes, Maya wanted to scream. I'm trying to tell you that I'm not Sophia. I'm her twin sister, Maya. I'm an artist who lives in a studio apartment in Brooklyn. I agreed to switch places with her for a week because I needed money and she wanted to run away with her lover. And I fell in love with you even though I had no right to, even though every moment we've spent together has been built on a lie. But instead, Maya just shook her head. No, I want you to know that people aren't always what they seem, that sometimes there are reasons we hide things, good reasons. Are you hiding something from me? Yes. The admission hung in the air between them. Marcus didn't pull his hand away, but Maya could see the confusion in his eyes. What are you hiding? I can't tell you yet, but I will. Today. I promise you'll know everything by the end of today. Sophia, you're scaring me. I know, I'm sorry. I just need you to trust me for a few more hours. Can you do that? Marcus was quiet for a long moment. Then he nodded. Okay, but tonight, no more secrets. You tell me whatever this is, and we deal with it together. Agreed? Agreed. After breakfast, Marcus left for a conference call in his study, and Maya was left alone with her mounting dread. She tried to distract herself by packing, sorting through Sophia's things, separating what was hers from what Maya had brought. But every item reminded her of a moment with Marcus. The dress she'd worn to their first dinner, the painting supplies he'd bought her, the sketch she'd made of his eyes that she'd hidden in the back of the closet. At noon, Maya's phone rang. Sophia. I'm so sorry, her sister said immediately. The car broke down completely. I'm getting it towed now, but Maya, I won't make it until at least 4, maybe 5. Sophia, I can't do this anymore. Marcus knows something's wrong. He knows I'm hiding something. I have to tell him. No, not yet. Please, let me be there when you tell him. Let me face the consequences too. I'm the one who got you into this mess. We both got ourselves into this mess. Just a few more hours. Please, Maya. Maya hung up feeling like she was going to be sick. A few more hours. A few more hours of lying to the man she loved.
She was standing in the hallway, trying to decide what to do when she heard voices coming from Marcus's study. The door was slightly ajar. Don't understand why you're hesitating, a woman's voice said. Maya recognized it as Marcus's mother, Victoria Kane. The Chen-Kane merger has been planned for months. The contracts are signed. The wedding is in 8 weeks. I know that, Mother, Marcus replied, his voice tight. Then why are you suddenly talking about postponing, about getting to know Sophia better? You've known her for 6 months. Because things have changed. She's changed. Or maybe I have. The point is, this doesn't feel like a business arrangement anymore. It feels real. Real? Victoria's laugh was sharp. Darling, there's nothing real about arranged marriages. Sophia is playing a role just like you are. You're both doing what your families expect. You're wrong. What Sophia and I have is genuine. Is it? Or have you just convinced yourself of that because it makes this whole thing more palatable? Maya pressed herself against the wall, her heart pounding. She should walk away. This was a private conversation, but she couldn't make herself move. I love her, Marcus said quietly. I know you don't believe in love, Mother, but I do, and I love Sophia. There was a pause. Then Victoria said, more gently, Marcus, I'm not trying to hurt you. I'm trying to protect you. Do you really know Sophia? Do you know what she wants, what she dreams about, who she is when no one's watching? I'm starting to. Are you? Or are you in love with an idea of her, with who you want her to be? Maya felt tears streaming down her face. Victoria was right. Marcus wasn't in love with Sophia. He was in love with Maya, but he didn't know that. He thought the woman he loved actually existed. I need to go, Marcus said. I have another call. Maya heard footsteps and quickly ducked into the nearest room, which turned out to be the library. She closed the door and leaned against it, trying to catch her breath. Maya heard Marcus and his mother pass by, their voices fading as they moved down the hallway. Then, silence. Maya sank into one of the leather chairs and let herself cry. This was impossible. There was no good way out of this. No matter what happened, people were going to be hurt. Marcus would feel betrayed, Sophia would face the consequences of running away, and Maya would lose the only man she'd ever truly loved. At 3 o'clock, Maya's phone buzzed again, but this time it wasn't Sophia. It was a text from an unknown number. I know what you did. I know you're not Sophia, and if you don't want Marcus to find out from me, you'll meet me in the garden in 10 minutes. Julia Hartley. Maya's blood ran cold. Julia, the woman from the gala who'd seemed suspicious. Somehow she'd figured it out. Maya found Julia waiting by the fountain in the East Garden, looking elegant and predatory in a designer suit. So you did get my message. I wasn't sure you'd come. How did you know? I've known Sophia Chen for 5 years. We've served on 3 charity boards together. And you, my dear, are definitely not Sophia. Julia circled Maya slowly, appraising her. I'll give you that. Identical. But you're not her. The way you talk, the way you move, the things you say, it's all wrong. So who are you? A cousin? A hired actress? Her twin sister. Julia's eyebrows shot up. I didn't know Sophia had a twin. How deliciously scandalous. Does Marcus know? No. I didn't think so. The poor man actually believes he's fallen in love with his Ice Queen fiancée, doesn't he? When really, he's fallen for, what's your name? Maya. Lovely. So tell me, Maya, why are you pretending to be your sister? Where is the real Sophia? I could lie, could make up some story, but I was so tired of lying. She ran away with the man she loved. She asked me to take her place for a week so she could figure out how to handle the situation without destroying her family. I needed money, so I agreed. I never meant for any of this to happen. But it did happen. Marcus fell in love with you, and now you're in quite the predicament. Julia smiled, and it wasn't kind. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to tell Marcus the truth, today, right now, actually, and I'm going to be there to make sure you do it. Why do you care? Because Marcus Kane deserves better than to be made a fool of, and because I have certain interests in how this merger plays out, interests that are threatened if this arrangement falls apart due to scandal. What interests? That's none of your concern. What is your concern is that in exactly 15 minutes, I'm going to Marcus's study to tell him I have important information about his fiancée. You can tell him yourself before I get there, or I'll tell him my way. Your choice. Julia walked away, leaving Maya standing alone in the garden with her world crumbling around her. 15 minutes. Maya pulled out her phone and called Sophia one more time. Voicemail. Sophia, I'm out of time. Someone figured it out and they're going to tell Marcus. I'm going to tell him myself, right now, before she can. I'm so sorry for everything, but I love him and I owe him the truth. I hope you understand. Maya walked to Marcus's study on shaking legs. She knocked on the door. Come in, Marcus called. He was at his desk, reviewing something on his computer. When he saw her, he smiled, that beautiful open smile that had become so familiar, the smile of a man in love. Hey, I thought you were resting. Is everything okay? Maya closed the door behind her and leaned against it. No, everything is not okay. Marcus's smile faded. He stood and came around the desk. What's wrong? You look like you're about to collapse. I need to tell you something, and it's going to change everything between us. But I need you to let me say it all before you react. Can you do that? You're scaring me, Sophia. My name isn't Sophia. Marcus went very still. What? My name is Maya. Maya Chen. I'm Sophia's identical twin sister. She asked me to switch places with her for a week because she needed time to run away with the man she loves. I agreed because I was desperate for money and she offered me $50,000. I never meant to fall in love with you. I never meant for any of this to happen. But I did fall in love with you, and now I don't know how to make this right. The words came out in a rush, tumbling over each other. Maya watched Marcus's face as she spoke, watched understanding dawn, then confusion, then the terrible moment when everything clicked into place. You're not Sophia, he said slowly. No, you've been pretending to be her this entire time? Yes. The dinners, the conversations, the kiss, the proposal, none of it was real? It was real for me, Maya said desperately. Everything I felt, everything I said, that was all real, Marcus. The only thing that wasn't real was my name. Marcus took a step back, and Maya saw the exact moment his heart broke, saw the trust in his eyes shatter and reform into something hard and cold. Get out, he said quietly. Marcus, please, get out. His voice cracked. I don't want to see you. I don't want to hear your voice. I don't want you in my house. Explain what? That you lied to me? That everything between us was a con? That I fell in love with someone who doesn't even exist? Marcus turned away from her, his hands gripping the edge of his desk. Where is she? Where's Sophia? She's coming back today. She should be here soon. Good. Then you can both get out. I never want to see either of you again. Marcus, I love you. Don't. He spun back to face her, and the pain in his eyes was devastating. Don't say that. You don't get to say that to me. Love requires honesty, and you've been lying to me from the moment we met. I wanted to tell you. So many times I almost... But you didn't. You kept lying. You let me fall in love with a ghost. His voice broke. You let me propose to someone who doesn't exist. Maya was crying now, tears streaming down her face. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Marcus. I never wanted to hurt you. Well, you did. Now get out. Maya turned to leave, but at the door she stopped. The woman you fell in love with, she was real. Maya is real. I'm real, and everything I feel for you is real, whether you believe it or not. Marcus didn't respond. He just stood there, his back to her, his shoulders rigid with pain and anger. Maya walked out of his study and nearly collided with Julia in the hallway. Did you tell him? Yes. Good. Then my work here is done. Julia started to walk away, then paused. For what it's worth, I almost feel sorry for you. You did fall in love with him, didn't you? The irony is delicious. You were playing a role, but your feelings were genuine. It's like something out of a tragedy. It is a tragedy, Maya said quietly. She went back to Sophia's room and started packing her things, her real things, not Sophia's. She'd leave the expensive clothes, the jewelry, the painting supplies Marcus had bought. She didn't deserve any of it. At 4:30, Maya heard a commotion downstairs. Voices. One of them was Sophia's. Maya took a deep breath and headed down to face the wreckage of what she'd done. Sophia was in the foyer, looking travel-worn and nervous. When she saw Maya, her eyes widened. Maya, He knows. I told him. He wants both of us gone. Oh, God. Sophia's face crumpled. This is all my fault. It's both our faults. Marcus appeared at the top of the stairs. When he saw Sophia, the real Sophia, he went very still. You must be the real one, he said, his voice flat. Marcus, I can explain, Sophia started. Don't bother. I don't want your explanations. I want both of you out of my house, now.
But the engagement, the merger, is over. I'll handle the business fallout. You handle your family. But I never want to see either of you again." Sophia looked at Maya, then back at Marcus. "I'm sorry. For what it's worth, I'm truly sorry." "It's not worth much," Marcus said. Then his eyes found Maya's, and for just a second, she saw the pain beneath the anger. "Neither of you are who I thought you were." "Marcus," Maya started, but he'd already turned and walked away. Maya and Sophia left the Kane estate in silence. They got into Sophia's car, and as they drove away, Maya turned back for one last look at the mansion. Somewhere inside, Marcus was dealing with the aftermath of her deception. Somewhere inside, the man she loved was hating her. "I'm so sorry," Sophia said again. "I never thought—" "Neither of us thought," Maya interrupted. "We just acted, and now we have to live with the consequences." "Do you really love him?" "Yes." "Then fight for him. Give him time to process and then fight for him." But I shook my head. "He'll never forgive me, and even if he did, he'll never trust me again. You can't build love on broken trust." They drove in silence for a while. Then Sophia asked, "What will you do now?" Maya thought about her studio apartment, her 3 jobs, her struggling art career. She thought about the $50,000 that seemed so important a week ago and now felt like blood money. "I don't know," she said honestly, "but I'll figure it out. I always do." What Maya didn't know was that back at the estate, Marcus was sitting in his study staring at the painting Maya had made of his eyes. The painting she had hidden in her closet. The painting that showed exactly how she saw him, not as a powerful CEO, but as a man with storms in his eyes and a guarded heart. And despite his anger, despite his betrayal, Marcus couldn't bring himself to throw it away. Because some part of him, the part that had fallen in love with Maya, wanted to believe that what they had was real, even if it had been built on a lie.
Previously, Maya agreed to switch places with her identical twin, Sophia, for 1 week and $50,000. But the week became longer, and Maya fell in love with Marcus Kane, Sophia's fiancé. He fell in love with her too, except he thought she was Sophia. He proposed. Then the truth came out. Marcus discovered Maya had been lying to him the entire time, pretending to be his fiancé, while the real Sophia ran away to marry another man. He kicked both sisters out of his estate, devastated and furious. That was 4 days ago, and Marcus Kane cannot stop thinking about a painting. The painting sat in Marcus's study, propped against the wall where he'd found it hidden in the back of Maya's closet after she left. His eyes, that's what she'd painted, storm cloud gray, rendered in oils with a depth and emotion that made Marcus's chest ache every time he looked at it. This wasn't how Sophia would have seen him, cold, distant, powerful. This was how Maya had seen him, vulnerable, human, real. Marcus poured himself another scotch, his 3rd of the evening. Maybe his 4th, he'd lost count. 4 days since Maya Chen walked out of his life. 4 days since he'd learned that everything, the conversations, the connection, the kiss, the proposal, had been built on a lie. 4 days, and he couldn't stop replaying every moment, looking for the signs he'd missed. His phone rang. His mother. "Marcus, darling, I heard about the Chen situation. Are you all right?" "I'm fine." "You don't sound fine. You sound drunk." "I'm not drunk. I'm just—" He stared at the painting. "Confused." "Confused about what? The girl lied to you. Both of them did. You dodged a bullet." "Did I?" Marcus set down his glass. "What if I didn't, Mother? What if the bullet found me anyway, and I'm just too stupid to realize I'm bleeding?" Victoria Kane sighed. "Marcus, you fell in love with a ghost, with someone who doesn't exist. The sooner you accept that, the sooner you can move on." After they hung up, Marcus stood and walked to the painting. He traced the brush strokes with his finger, careful not to smudge the dried paint. Maya had painted this. Maya, who'd laughed at his terrible jokes and challenged him when he was being insufferable. Maya, who'd talked about art with such passion it made him want to see the world through her eyes. Maya, who'd kissed him like she was drowning and he was air. Not Sophia, Maya. His assistant knocked on the study door. "Mr. Kane, there's someone here to see you. She says it's urgent." "I'm not taking visitors." "She says her name is Sophia Chen." Marcus's jaw tightened. "Send her in." Sophia entered, looking exhausted and guilty, her designer clothes rumpled from travel. She was identical to Maya in every physical way. Same face, same height, same eyes. But the moment she spoke, Marcus knew. The voice was different. The energy was different. Everything about her was different from the woman he'd fallen in love with. "I'm not here to apologize," Sophia said immediately. "What I did was selfish and cruel, and no apology could fix that. But I am here to explain, and to give you something." She held out a USB drive. "What is this?" "Maya's journal, from the week she spent here." Sophia's voice cracked. She recorded everything, every day, every conversation, every moment she fell in love with you while hating herself for lying. "I think you should read it before you decide what to do next." Marcus took the drive. "Why are you giving this to me?" "Because my sister is in love with you, really in love with you, and I've never seen her in love before." Sophia wrapped her arms around herself. "I know you're angry. You have every right to be. But Marcus, everything Maya felt for you was real. The only thing that was fake was her name. That's not a small thing." "No, it's not. But maybe it's not the biggest thing either." Sophia moved toward the door, then paused. "Maya asked me not to come here. She said you'd made your decision and she had to respect it. But I couldn't let you throw away something real just because it started with a lie." After Sophia left, Marcus sat at his computer and opened the drive. Inside was a document, dozens of pages, dated entries starting from day 1. He began to read. Day 1. "I met Marcus Kane today. Sophia said he was cold and distant, but when he looked at me, I saw something else. Loneliness, maybe, or exhaustion, like he's been playing a role for so long he's forgotten how to be real. I'm supposed to be here for a week, just 1 week of pretending. Then I take my money and go home. Simple. Except nothing about Marcus Kane is simple." Marcus's hands tightened on the mouse. Day 2. We had breakfast together. He asked me about art, and I forgot to be Sophia. I told him the truth, my truth, about why art matters, and he looked at me like he was really seeing me for the first time. I'm in trouble. I can feel it already. Page after page, Maya had documented her growing feelings, her guilt, her terror that he'd discover the truth, her certainty that what they had was real, even though it was built on lies. Day 4. Marcus proposed today, not the business arrangement proposal, but a real one. He said he wants to marry me because he loves me, not because our families arranged it. I wanted to say yes so badly I could barely breathe, but I can't, because he doesn't even know my real name. Sophia was supposed to come back today. She didn't. She called and said she needs 4 more days. 4 more days of lying to the man I'm falling in love with. 4 more days of stealing moments that don't belong to me. I don't know how much longer I can do this. Marcus read every word, every confession, every moment of anguish and joy and love. When he finished, he sat back in his chair and stared at the ceiling. Maya had been falling apart the entire time. While he'd been falling in love, she'd been drowning in guilt. Every kiss, every conversation, every moment they'd shared, she'd known it had an expiration date, known she'd have to confess eventually, known it would destroy them both, and she'd loved him anyway. Marcus pulled out his phone and called his private investigator. "I need you to find someone. Maya Chen, twin sister of Sophia Chen. I need to know where she is, now." "On it, boss." The answer came back in 20 minutes. Maya was at her studio apartment in Brooklyn, the same apartment she'd been living in before the switch, working 3 jobs again, trying to survive. Marcus grabbed his coat. Margaret appeared in the hallway, looking concerned. Mr. Kane, where are you going at this hour? To fix a mistake. What mistake? Marcus paused at the door. I fell in love with someone, then I threw her out before I let her explain, and I'm going to get her back before I lose the best thing that ever happened to me. The drive to Brooklyn took 40 minutes. Marcus spent every minute of it rehearsing what he'd say. But when he stood outside Maya's building, looking up at the single lit window on the 3rd floor, all his carefully planned words disappeared. He climbed the stairs and knocked. Maya opened the door in paint-stained clothes, her hair pulled back, her eyes widening in shock when she saw him. "Marcus, what are you—" "I read your journal," he said. "Sophia brought me your journal." Maya's face went pale. She wasn't supposed to do that. "I'm glad she did." Marcus stepped closer. "Maya, I was angry. I'm still angry. You lied to me for days. You let me fall in love with someone who I thought was someone else. I know, and I'm sorry. But you were also falling apart the entire time. You were drowning in guilt and still couldn't walk away, because what we had was real." His voice softened. "Wasn't it? It was real for you too?" Tears filled Maya's eyes. "Yes, God, yes, it was real. Every moment, every feeling, everything except my name was real." Marcus reached out and cupped her face in his hands. "Then maybe we can start over. No lies this time, no pretending, just Marcus and Maya, just us." "You want to start over after everything I did?" "I want to try, because when I look at that painting you made of my eyes, I see myself the way you saw me, not as a CEO or a Kane heir or some role I have to play, just as me." He smiled, sad and hopeful. "You saw me, Maya, really saw me, and I saw you too, even when I didn't know your name." Maya let out a sob and threw her arms around his neck. Marcus held her tight, breathing in the scent of her hair, feeling her shake against him. "I'm so sorry," she whispered. "I'm so sorry." "I know, and we'll deal with it, together." He pulled back to look at her. "But Maya, if you ever lie to me again—" "I won't, I promise. No more lies, ever." "Good, because I'm still in love with you, and I'd really like a chance to fall in love with the real you this time." Maya laughed through her tears. "The real me is a mess. I work 3 jobs. I live in a studio apartment. I eat ramen for dinner most nights. The real me talks to himself when he's alone and watches terrible reality TV when he can't sleep. We'll figure it out." They stood in their doorway, holding each other. 2 people who'd found each other through lies and were choosing to build something real from the wreckage. "So what happens now?" Maya asked. Marcus smiled. "Now I take you to breakfast, somewhere cheap, since you're probably tired of expensive restaurants." "The taco truck?" "Perfect." He took her hand, and then we start over. Day 1. "Hi, I'm Marcus Kane." Maya smiled through her tears. "Hi, I'm Maya Chen, and I'm an artist who made a terrible mistake but fell in love with an incredible man anyway." "That's a good start," Marcus said, and kissed her.
Previously, Maya pretended to be her twin sister Sophia for a week as Sophia's fiancé to billionaire Marcus Kane. Maya and Marcus fell in love. When the truth came out, Marcus was devastated and threw her out. But after reading Maya's journal and seeing the painting she made of his eyes, Marcus realized her feelings were real. He found her, forgave her, and they decided to start over. Just Marcus and Maya. No more lies. That was 2 weeks ago. And Marcus's family just found out. Maya was painting in Marcus's study when the shouting started downstairs. "You're doing what?" Victoria Kane's voice echoed through the mansion. Maya set down her brush. In the foyer, Victoria stood with a tablet, her face flushed with fury. It showed a society blog with photos of Marcus and Maya at a cafe. The headline, "Billionaire Marcus Kane dating the woman who deceived him." "Mother, I was going to tell you," Marcus started. "Tell me what? That you've taken up with the girl who lied to you, who pretended to be your fiancé?" Her name is Maya, and yes, I'm dating her. She made a fool of you, of this family." Maya walked down the stairs. "Mrs. Kane, I understand why you're upset. You understand nothing. You manipulated my son." "I fell in love with him," Maya said firmly. "Yes, I lied. Yes, I took money from Sophia, but everything I felt for Marcus was real." Victoria pulled out her phone. "Emergency family meeting. Tonight. You're both coming." After she left, Marcus held Maya. "I should have told her before the press found out. She's not wrong. Maybe I don't deserve—" "Stop. You made a mistake. You owned it. That's all that matters to me." That evening, 12 Kane family members filled the dining room at Marcus's uncle's estate, all looking at Maya like she was a bug in their salad. "So, you're the artist," Richard Kane said. "Tell us, what exactly was your plan?" "I didn't plan to fall in love." "How convenient," Victoria interrupted. "Marcus, she lied to you for days, let you propose, all while knowing it was built on deception." The room erupted in arguments. Then the doorbell rang. The butler appeared. "Sir, there's a Sophia Chen at the door asking for Marcus Kane." The room went silent. Sophia was let in, looking nervous but determined. "If you want to blame someone, blame me, not Maya." "Sophia, you don't have to," Maya started. "Yes, I do." Sophia faced the family. "I'm the one who asked Maya to switch places. I'm the one who ran away. I manipulated her into helping me because I was too much of a coward to face Marcus and tell him I didn't love him." "You manipulated your own sister?" Victoria asked. "Yes. Maya has always been the responsible one. I took advantage of that." Sophia's eyes filled with tears. Then she fell in love with Marcus, really in love. She wanted to tell him the truth but was terrified. "So if you want to punish someone, punish me." Richard leaned back. "Why should we believe you?" "Because I have nothing to gain. I'm married now to the man I actually love. I'm here because I can't let Maya take all the blame for my mistakes." Victoria looked at Marcus. "Do you have anything to say?" Marcus stood, pulling Maya up. "I love Maya, not despite what happened, but including it. If Sophia hadn't run away, I would have married the wrong woman and been miserable. Maya's deception gave me the chance to fall in love with my actual soulmate." He looked around the table. "If this family can't accept that, then I'll choose her over all of you." Finally, Victoria stood. "I don't like this, but Marcus, you're a grown man. If you're willing to risk your heart on this girl, I can't stop you." She looked at Maya. "But I'm watching you. One sign of deception and I will personally make sure you regret it." "Understood," Maya said quietly. Outside, Sophia hugged Maya. "I'm sorry I didn't come sooner. You're here now, that's what matters." In the car, Marcus pulled Maya close. "That was brutal, but we survived. My mother's never going to like you. I don't need her to like me, I just need you to love me. That I can guarantee." Maya looked out at the city lights. The Kane family would probably never fully accept her. Society would always whisper, but she had Marcus, and Sophia had stood up for her, and slowly she was building something real. It wasn't perfect, but it was real, and that was enough.
Previously, Maya pretended to be her twin Sophia to billionaire Marcus Kane. They fell in love. The truth came out, and Marcus was devastated. But after reading Maya's journal, he forgave her, and they started over. Marcus's family confronted them, but with Sophia's help defending Maya, they grudgingly accepted the relationship. That was 3 weeks ago, and this morning, everything changed. Maya woke up to her phone exploding with notifications. She reached for it groggily, expecting messages from her sister or maybe her art studio manager. Instead, she found 47 texts, 20 missed calls, and her social media feeds on fire. The first text was from Ashley. "Maya, have you seen it? Call me now." Confused, Maya opened her news app. The top trending story made her blood run cold. Billionaires love Con, the twin sister switch that fooled Marcus Kane. Below the headline was a photo of her and Sophia side by side, and another of Marcus kissing Maya at a restaurant last week. The article had everything: the week-long deception, the $50,000, Sophia's elopement, even details from Maya's journal that only Sophia and Marcus should have known. Maya's hands shook as she read. Someone had leaked the entire story to the press, every humiliating detail, every lie, every moment of the deception that Maya had spent weeks trying to make amends for. She ran downstairs. Marcus was in his study, already on the phone, his expression thunderous. "I don't care what it costs. Find out who leaked this, now." When he saw Maya, he ended the call. "You saw it. How did they get all those details? The journal entries, the timeline, everything?" "I don't know, but I'm gonna find out." Marcus pulled her close. "Maya, I'm sorry. This is gonna get ugly." "It's already ugly." Maya showed him her phone. Social media was brutal. Half the comments called her a gold digger. The other half called Marcus a fool. Hashtag twin switch scandal was trending nationwide. Marcus's publicist arrived within the hour, a sharp woman named Victoria Chen, who looked like she could cut glass with her cheekbones. "We need damage control," Victoria said without preamble. "The story is everywhere. CNN, Forbes, Entertainment Tonight, everyone wants a comment." "No comment," Marcus said firmly. "That's the worst thing you can do. Silence makes you look guilty." Victoria pulled out her tablet. "We need to get ahead of this. I recommend a joint statement. Keep it brief, acknowledge the unusual circumstances, emphasize that you're in love and happy." "We're not making a statement," Maya said quietly. "That just feeds the frenzy." "With respect, Miss Chen, you don't understand how this works. The longer you stay silent, the more they'll speculate. We control the narrative, or the narrative controls us." Marcus looked at Maya. "What do you want to do?" Maya thought about the comments she'd read. People who didn't know her, didn't know their story, making judgments based on a sensationalized article. "I don't want to defend myself to strangers. We know the truth. That's what matters." "The truth is you're both being crucified online," Victoria said bluntly. "Marcus, your company stock dropped 3% this morning. The board is already calling for an emergency meeting. This affects more than just your relationship." Maya felt sick. This was exactly what she'd been afraid of, that her mistakes would damage Marcus's life, his company, his reputation. "I'll release a statement, alone, taking responsibility. Maybe if I—" "No!" Marcus's voice was steel. "We're in this together. I won't let you take the fall alone." "But it was my fault." "It was both our faults. Mine for falling in love before asking questions, yours for not telling me sooner. But what we have now is real, and I'm not letting the press destroy it." Victoria nodded approvingly. "Good, then here's what we do. Joint interview, exclusive, one of the major networks. You tell your story your way. Show them the real relationship, not the tabloid version." "Absolutely not," Maya said immediately. "I'm not going on TV to talk about this." "Then you're letting everyone else define your story," Victoria said. "Is that what you want?" Over the next few days, the media circus intensified. Paparazzi camped outside Marcus's estate. Reporters ambushed Maya at her art studio. Old acquaintances sold insider stories to tabloids, most of them completely fabricated. Maya's art show, scheduled for next month, suddenly had sponsors pulling out. The gallery owner called, apologetic but firm. "The controversy is too much. We can't risk it." Marcus's board called an emergency meeting. His uncle Richard led the charge, calling for Marcus to step down as CEO until the scandal blew over. "This is exactly what I warned you about," Richard said during the tense board meeting. Maya wasn't there, but Marcus told her everything afterward. "You chose a relationship over the company's reputation. Now we're paying the price." "The company is fine," Marcus said coldly. "Stock fluctuations are normal. This will pass." "Will it? Or will you be forever known as the CEO who got conned by a pretty face?" Marcus had walked out rather than say something he'd regret. That evening, Maya found him on the terrace, staring at the city lights. "I'm destroying everything you built," she said quietly. "You're not destroying anything. Your board wants you gone. My art show is canceled. Every day there's a new headline about how I manipulated you." Maya's voice broke. "Maybe everyone's right. Maybe I am a con artist who—" "Stop. Don't let them get in your head." "How can I not? Marcus, they published details from my journal. Someone we trusted sold our story for money, and now everything we've been trying to build is falling apart." "Then we fight harder." Marcus pulled her close. "You think I care what strangers say about us? You think I care about stock prices or board meetings? I care about you. That's all that matters." "But it's not all that matters. You have responsibilities, a company, employees who depend on you." "And they'll still depend on me after this blows over." Marcus tilted her face up. "Maya, I've faced hostile takeovers, economic crashes, and my uncle trying to steal my company. You think I can't handle some bad press?" Despite everything, Maya smiled. "When you put it that way, we survived this the same way we survived everything else, together." That night, Maya couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about Victoria's words, "Control the narrative or the narrative controls us." At 3 a.m., she made a decision. The next morning, Maya called Victoria. "I'll do the interview, but on my terms. I want to talk about the art, about building my career. The relationship stuff is secondary." "That's not what people want to hear about," Victoria said. "I don't care. If I'm going on TV, I'm talking about what matters to me. Take it or leave it." There was a pause. Then Victoria laughed. "You know what? That might actually work. The defiant artist who refuses to be defined by her relationship. I can work with that." The interview was scheduled for the following week, a major network, prime time. Marcus insisted on being there, sitting beside her. "You don't have to do this," Maya said the night before. "I can handle it alone." "You know you can, but you don't have to." Marcus squeezed her hand. "We're in this together, remember?" The interview was simultaneously the hardest and most empowering thing Maya had ever done. The interviewer tried to focus on the scandal, the deception, the money, the twin switch, but Maya kept redirecting to her art, her journey as an artist, her upcoming solo show at a new gallery that had reached out after seeing the controversy. "Some people say you used Marcus Kane to advance your career," the interviewer said. "Some people are wrong," Maya replied calmly. "My career advanced because I'm talented and I work hard. Marcus supports that, but he doesn't define it." Marcus, sitting beside her, smiled. "But you did lie to him for days. You took money to deceive him." "I did, and it was wrong. I've apologized to Marcus, to his family, and to everyone affected by my choices." Maya looked directly at the camera. "But I'm not going to spend the rest of my life apologizing to strangers who weren't there and don't know the whole story. Marcus and I have moved past it. Maybe everyone else should too." The interviewer blinked, clearly not expecting such directness. Marcus leaned forward. "Can I say something?" He didn't wait for permission. "Maya made a mistake. So did I. I proposed to someone I barely knew because our families arranged it. We both learned from our mistakes, and we found something real in the process. If people want to judge us for that, fine. But our relationship isn't a scandal. It's just two people who found each other in an unconventional way and chose to fight for it." After the interview aired, the tide began to shift. Not completely. There were still plenty of critics, but there were also people who appreciated Maya's honesty. Her new gallery saw a surge in interest. Art collectors who'd never heard of her before started reaching out. Marcus's board backed down. The stock recovered. The paparazzi moved on to the next scandal. A week later, Maya had her first solo exhibition. The gallery was packed. Critics, collectors, and curious onlookers who'd heard about the twin switch artist. Marcus stood beside her as she gave a speech about her work. Art is about truth, about showing people who you really are, even when it's messy or complicated or doesn't fit into a nice, neat story. These paintings are me, the real me, and I'm done apologizing for that. The crowd applauded. Sales exceeded expectations. Maya sold 12 pieces that night. As the evening wound down, Marcus found her standing in front of her favorite piece, a painting of two figures, identical but different, standing on opposite sides of a mirror. "You did it," he said. "We did it," Maya corrected. "I couldn't have survived this without you." "Yes, you could have, but I'm glad you didn't have to." Marcus wrapped his arms around her. "No more scandals for a while?" Maya laughed. "I'll try my best." They stood there, surrounded by her art, proof that she was more than the headlines, more than the twin who'd deceived a billionaire. She was Maya Chen, artist, and she'd earned her success through talent and determination. The media had tried to define her by her worst mistake, but she'd refused to be reduced to that. And with Marcus beside her, she'd proven that love, real, honest, hard-fought love, could survive anything. Even trending hashtags.
Previously, Maya pretended to be her twin Sophia for a week and fell in love with billionaire Marcus Kane. When the truth came out, he was devastated. But Marcus forgave her after reading her journal. They rebuilt their relationship on honesty. His family interrogated them, but with Sophia's help, they grudgingly accepted. Then the media exposed their story, and Maya refused to be defined by the scandal. Her art exhibition was a success, proving she was more than the headlines. That was 1 year ago, and today, everything is about to change. Maya stood in her art studio, a real studio, not the cramped space above a laundromat, but a bright, airy loft with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Her third solo exhibition was opening tonight, and she was putting finishing touches on the final piece. It was a portrait of Marcus, not the cold, distant CEO from the painting she'd made while pretending to be Sophia. This was different. Marcus laughing, his guard completely down, paint smudged on his cheek from when he'd helped her in the studio last week. This was Marcus as she knew him, the real him. Her phone buzzed. "Marcus, can't wait for tonight. Proud of you. Always." Maya smiled. A year ago, she'd been terrified the scandal would destroy everything. Instead, it had somehow made them stronger. The media attention had brought collectors to her work. The controversy had sparked conversations about art and authenticity. And Marcus had stood beside her through all of it, never once suggesting she hide or apologize. "Knock, knock," Sophia's voice came from the studio entrance. Maya turned to see her twin sister, looking radiant and happy. Marriage to James clearly agreed with her. "You're early," Maya said, hugging her sister. "Wanted to see the collection before the crowds." Sophia walked through the studio, examining each piece. "Maya, these are incredible. You've really found your voice." "Thanks to you almost destroying my life," Maya said dryly. Sophia winced. "Are we ever going to move past that?" "Maybe, in another 10 years, but Maya was smiling. The truth was, she'd forgiven Sophia months ago. Yes, the twin switch had been a disaster, but it had also brought her Marcus, and for that, she couldn't be entirely angry. "So," Sophia said, stopping in front of the portrait of Marcus, "have you talked about it?" "About what?" "Don't play dumb. Marriage, the future. You two have been together a year. Everyone knows he's going to propose eventually." Maya's stomach fluttered. "We don't talk about that." "Why not?" Because I'm still the artist who lied to him, still the woman who took money to deceive him. What if he has doubts? What if there's always going to be that shadow over us?" Sophia took her sister's hands. "Maya, that man looks at you like you hung the moon.
The shadow is in your head, not his. Trust me, he's going to propose, probably tonight. He wouldn't propose at my exhibition, that's my night. Sophia just smiled. We'll see. That evening, the gallery was packed. Collectors, critics, socialites, and to Maya's surprise, several members of the Kane family, including Victoria. Marcus arrived looking devastatingly handsome in a dark suit, and when he saw Maya, his entire face lit up. "You look beautiful," he said, kissing her. "You're biased." Completely, but also correct. He gestured to the crowded gallery. "Look at this, Maya. All these people here for your art. You did this. We did this. You supported me every step. I just believed in you. You did the work." The exhibition was a triumph. Maya sold 15 pieces in the first hour. Critics praised her evolution as an artist. One collector commissioned a custom piece on the spot. But Maya kept watching Marcus. He seemed nervous, checking his phone, glancing at his watch. Something was happening. Halfway through the evening, Marcus clinked his glass for attention. "If I could have everyone's attention for just a moment," he said, his voice carrying across the gallery. Maya's heart stopped. Oh God, Sophia was right. "A year ago, I met this woman under very unusual circumstances. She was pretending to be someone else, and I fell in love with her anyway. When the truth came out, I was hurt, angry. I threw her out of my life." The gallery was silent. People were filming on their phones. But then I realized something. The woman I'd fallen in love with was real. Her name might have been different, but her kindness was real. Her passion was real. The way she saw me, really saw me, was real. Marcus walked towards Maya. "This past year, Maya has shown me what it means to be truly known, to be loved not for what you have, but for who you are." He pulled out a small box, and Maya's hands flew to her mouth. "Maya Chen, you're the bravest person I know. You took a terrible situation and turned it into something beautiful. You survived judgment, scandal, and my family." Light laughter rippled through the crowd. "And you did it with grace and strength." Marcus dropped to one knee, and Maya felt tears streaming down her face. "I don't want to spend another day without you. Will you marry me?" Maya looked at the man she loved, the man who'd forgiven her, believed in her, stood beside her through everything. The man who'd once been cold and distant, but who now smiled freely, laughed easily, and painted with her in her studio just to be close to her. "Yes," she said, her voice breaking. "Yes, absolutely yes." The gallery erupted in applause. Marcus slipped the ring on her finger, a beautiful diamond surrounded by smaller stones in colors that matched her paint palette, and kissed her while cameras flashed and people cheered. When they finally broke apart, Victoria Kane approached, her expression softer than Maya had ever seen it. "Welcome to the family," Victoria said, officially this time. Maya laughed through her tears. "Thank you." "That ring," Victoria continued, "belonged to Marcus's grandmother. She would have loved you. You have her spirit, stubborn, talented, and completely unwilling to be told what to do." It was the highest compliment Victoria had ever given her. The rest of the evening was a blur of congratulations, champagne, and joy. Maya kept touching the ring on her finger, unable to believe it was real. When the gallery finally closed and they were alone, Marcus pulled Maya close. "Was that okay, proposing at your exhibition?" "It was perfect. This is where I became who I am, where I proved I was more than the scandal. It's the perfect place for us to start our forever." They stood among her paintings, canvases that told the story of her journey from deception to truth, from shame to pride. "I have something for you," Marcus said, pulling out a folder. Maya opened it, confused. Inside were architectural plans for a building. "What is this?" "An art school. for kids who can't afford traditional programs. I bought the building last month. I want you to run it. Teach the next generation of artists who need someone to believe in them the way I believe in you." Maya stared at the plans, then at Marcus, then burst into tears again. "You bought me an art school?" "I bought us an art school. I'll handle the business side, you handle the art. We'll build it together." Marcus wiped her tears. "What do you say?" "I say you're the most amazing man I've ever met, and I can't wait to marry you." They kissed, and Maya thought about how far they'd come, from lies and deception to this, a proposal, a partnership, a future built on honesty and trust. 6 months later, they got married at the Kane estate in a ceremony that was both elegant and personal. Sophia was Maya's maid of honor. Marcus's best friend, Christopher, stood beside him. Victoria cried, actually cried, during the vows. Maya wore a dress she designed herself, with paint-splattered hem that made the society matrons whisper, but made Marcus smile. "I love you," Marcus said, as they danced their first dance. "My wife, my partner, my favorite artist." "I love you too, my husband, my supporter, my favorite critic." "I'm your only critic." "Exactly, which makes you the best by default." They laughed, and Maya felt the last weight she'd been carrying finally lift. The guilt, the shame, the fear that she'd never be good enough, or that Marcus would always see her as the woman who deceived him, all of it was gone. She'd made a terrible mistake, but she'd owned it, learned from it, and built something beautiful from the wreckage. The art school opened a year after their wedding. They called it the Kane Chen Academy for the Arts, both their names, equal partnership. The first class of students included 30 kids from underprivileged backgrounds, all of them talented, all of them needing a chance. On opening day, Maya stood in front of them and told them her story, all of it. The twin switch, the deception, the scandal. "I made terrible choices, choices I'm not proud of, but I learned that your mistakes don't define you. What defines you is what you build afterward, how you grow, how you use your gifts." She looked at Marcus, standing in the back of the room, smiling at her. "Art saved me. It gave me a voice when I felt voiceless. It gave me purpose when I felt lost, and I hope it will do the same for you." The students looked at her with hope and hunger, the same look she had when she was their age, before life got complicated. "Welcome to Kane Chen Academy for the Arts. Let's create something beautiful." Years later, when people asked Maya about her story, she always said the same thing. "I lied to the man I loved. I hurt him. I almost destroyed everything. But he gave me a second chance, and I spent every day after that proving I deserved it. Not through words, through actions, through showing him that the woman he fell in love with was real. She just had the wrong name for a little while." Marcus would add, "I fell in love with a lie and found the truth. Turns out the truth was better than I ever imagined." And Maya would kiss him and think about that first week when she was still pretending to be Sophia, when she'd painted Marcus's eyes and fallen for a man she had no right to love. She'd lied about her name, but everything else, every feeling, every moment, every connection had been real. And sometimes, real love starts in the most unexpected places. Even in deception, truth can find a way.